The Black Hills, shrouded in Native American legend, held a secret: gold. In 1874, General George Custer's expedition confirmed the rumors, igniting a frenzy that would forever alter the landscape and destiny of the American West. Prospectors, drawn by the promise of fortune, descended upon the region in droves, their numbers swelling with each passing day. Among the rugged canyons and whispering pines, a settlement emerged, a rough-hewn outpost christened Deadwood. The Lakota Sioux, who considered the Black Hills sacred, were dismayed by this intrusion. The arrival of the miners and the ensuing gold rush violated the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, which had granted the Black Hills to the tribe. Tensions simmered, threatening to boil over as the miners, undeterred by the Lakota's claims, continued to stake their claims and extract the precious metal from the earth. Deadwood, named for the grove of dead trees found in the gulch, quickly became a melting pot of fortune-seekers, outlaws, and dreamers. The town, a haphazard collection of tents and shacks, bustled with a chaotic energy fueled by greed, desperation, and the intoxicating allure of striking it rich. Every day brought new arrivals, eager to test their luck and carve a place for themselves in this untamed frontier. But Deadwood was not for the faint of heart. The town was a powder keg of lawlessness, where disputes were settled with the cold steel of a six-shooter, and justice was often meted out by the fastest draw. Life was cheap in Deadwood, and death was a constant companion, a grim reminder of the perils that lurked in the shadows of this boomtown. Deadwood existed outside the reach of civilization, a lawless frontier town where the rules of polite society were often disregarded. The town was a magnet for those seeking to escape their past, reinvent themselves, or simply operate beyond the constraints of the law. Gambling dens, saloons, and brothels flourished, catering to the desires of the rough-and-tumble crowd that called Deadwood home. Violence was an everyday occurrence, a grim reality of life in a town where disputes were often resolved with the pull of a trigger. Shootouts erupted in the dusty streets, leaving behind a trail of blood and sorrow. Claim jumping and stagecoach robberies were common, and those who dared to challenge the established order often met an untimely end. Despite the lawlessness, a semblance of order emerged from the chaos. Vigilante committees, formed by concerned citizens, took it upon themselves to dispense justice, often meting out punishments as harsh as the crimes they sought to deter. These self-appointed lawmen, operating outside the bounds of any official authority, reflected the desperate need for some form of control in a town teetering on the brink of anarchy.
The arrival of Seth Bullock, a former Montana sheriff, marked a turning point for Deadwood. Bullock, a man of unwavering integrity and a fierce determination to bring order to the chaos, established himself as a force to be reckoned with. His appointment as sheriff signaled a shift in the balance of power, a glimmer of hope that Deadwood could evolve from its lawless beginnings.
Deadwood's untamed spirit attracted a cast of characters as colorful as the gold that lured them there. Among them were legendary figures whose names would forever be etched in the annals of Wild West lore. These men and women, larger than life in their exploits and their infamy, embodied the spirit of the era, a time when fortunes were won and lost on the turn of a card, and reputations were forged in the crucible of violence.
Wild Bill Hickok, a renowned gunfighter and scout, arrived in Deadwood with a reputation that preceded him. Hickok, a legendary figure of the Wild West, brought an air of danger and excitement to the already volatile town. His presence, a magnet for trouble, would ultimately lead to his demise, forever cementing his legend in the annals of Deadwood's history.
Seth Bullock, Hickok's friend and a man of unwavering principle, sought to tame Deadwood's wild spirit. As sheriff, he faced down outlaws and brought a semblance of order to the chaotic town. Bullock's commitment to justice and his unwavering resolve made him a respected figure, a symbol of the civilizing influence that was slowly beginning to take hold.
Al Swearengen, the cunning and ruthless proprietor of the Gem Theatre, represented the darker side of Deadwood. Swearengen, a master manipulator, held sway over the town's vices, profiting from the desires and despair of its inhabitants. His influence, pervasive and corrupting, cast a long shadow over Deadwood, a reminder of the temptations that lurked beneath the surface.
Calamity Jane, a notorious frontierswoman known for her rough-and-tumble lifestyle and her association with Wild Bill Hickok, added to Deadwood's legend. Jane, a skilled sharpshooter and storyteller, captivated those she encountered with her tales of adventure and her independent spirit. Her presence in Deadwood, a testament to the town's allure, further solidified its reputation as a haven for those who lived life on their own terms.
While gunfights and saloons might dominate the popular image of Deadwood, the town was more than just a den of iniquity. Beneath the surface of lawlessness and violence, a community was taking shape, a microcosm of American society thrust into the unforgiving environment of the Black Hills. Families arrived seeking new beginnings and opportunities. Businesses sprouted up, catering to the needs of the burgeoning population. And amidst the chaos, a sense of community began to emerge. The arrival of women and children brought a semblance of normalcy to Deadwood. Schools and churches were established, providing a sense of structure and morality in a town desperately in need of both. Social clubs and fraternal organizations offered a sense of belonging and camaraderie, fostering a spirit of cooperation among the town's residents. The discovery of gold had brought prosperity to Deadwood, but it also brought hardship. Life in the boomtown was often harsh and unforgiving. Housing was scarce and expensive, disease spread quickly in the cramped and unsanitary conditions, and the ever-present threat of fire loomed large, a constant reminder of the precarious nature of life in Deadwood. Yet, despite the challenges, the residents of Deadwood persevered. They built a community in the wilderness, forging bonds of friendship and support that transcended their differences. They celebrated their successes and mourned their losses, finding solace and strength in their shared experiences. And in the process, they created a unique and enduring legacy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Section 5. The End of an Era. Fire, Floods, and the Slow Fade. The year 1879 brought a devastating fire to Deadwood, reducing much of the town to ashes. The fire, a stark reminder of the precarious nature of life in a frontier town, consumed businesses, homes, and dreams. Yet from the ashes, Deadwood rose again, rebuilt with a renewed sense of purpose and a determination to create a more prosperous and enduring community. But fate, it seemed, had other plans for Deadwood. The gold that had lured so many to the Black Hills began to dwindle, and with it the town's fortunes began to fade. The once booming economy slowed, and the population began to decline as those who had come seeking their fortune moved on to new opportunities. Floods in 1883 and 1889 further compounded Deadwood's woes, destroying businesses and infrastructure and leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The floods served as a stark reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human endeavors. Deadwood, once a symbol of untamed frontier spirit, was now facing an uncertain future. The romance of the Wild West was fading, and with it, the allure of Deadwood began to diminish. The railroad, which had bypassed Deadwood in its initial route, finally arrived in 1890, but it was a bittersweet victory. The railroad brought with it a new era of progress and civilization, but it also signaled the end of Deadwood's reign as a lawless frontier town. Section 6. Deadwood's Legacy, a Timeless Tale of the American West. Deadwood, once a bustling hub of gold fever and frontier justice, gradually transitioned from a boomtown to a quieter existence. The saloons and gambling halls that had once defined the town's character gave way to more respectable establishments. The gunfights and lawlessness that had once been commonplace faded into memory, replaced by a semblance of order and civility. But while the Wild West era may have passed, Deadwood's legacy lived on. The town's story, a captivating blend of fact and legend, continued to fascinate and inspire, a testament to the enduring allure of the American frontier. Today, Deadwood has embraced its colorful past, preserving its historic buildings and celebrating its Wild West heritage. Tourists flock to the town, eager to walk the same streets as Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane and Seth Bullock, to experience a taste of the frontier spirit that once defined the town. Deadwood stands as a reminder of a bygone era, a time when the American West was a land of opportunity and adventure, of danger and hardship. It is a story of ambition and greed, of violence and justice, of the men and women who lived and died by their own code. And it is a story that continues to resonate with each passing generation, a timeless tale of the American West. Section 1. The notorious J.B. Hickok Wild Bill before Deadwood. Born James Butler. Hickok in 1837, Wild Bill was a man of contradictions. He was a skilled frontiersman, equally comfortable tracking game or facing down a hostile enemy. His piercing blue eyes, often described as unnervingly calm, held a depth that hinted at a complex inner life.
Hickok's early life was marked by adventure and a strong sense of justice. He worked as a stagecoach driver, fought in the Civil War, and served as a scout and spy for the Union Army. His reputation as a crack shot and a deadly duelist grew with each encounter, cementing his image as a legendary figure of the Wild West.
Stories of Hickok's exploits spread like wildfire across the frontier. He was credited with incredible feats of marksmanship and bravery, his name whispered in saloons and around campfires. Some tales were undoubtedly embellished, but the core of the man, the unwavering courage and the steely resolve, shone through. By the time he arrived in Deadwood in 1876, Wild Bill Hickok was already a legend. He carried with him a Colt Navy 1851 revolver and a pair of cap and ball revolvers, tools of the trade that had become as much a part of him as his shadow. But his deadliest weapon was his reputation, a force of nature that preceded him like a storm front.
Gunfighter, scout, lawman, the many faces of a legend.
Wild Bill Hickok was more than just a gunfighter, although his skill with a pistol was undeniable. He was a complex figure who navigated the dangerous world of the American frontier with a blend of cunning, courage, and a strong moral compass.
As a scout for the U.S. Army, I displayed incredible knowledge of the terrain and a keen understanding of Native American culture. I could read the signs of the land, track enemies for miles, and negotiate treaties with a wisdom that belied my years.
His service to the army during the Indian Wars earned him both respect and notoriety, adding another layer to his already complex persona. Hickok's brief stint as a lawman in Hays City, Kansas and Abilene, Kansas, revealed his commitment to justice, however rough and tumble it might have been.
I faced down outlaws and enforced the law with a steely determination, even when it meant risking my own life. My time as a lawman, though short-lived, demonstrated a sense of duty that went beyond my image as a gunslinger.
Throughout his adventures, Hickok carried himself with a quiet confidence that commanded attention. He was known for his sharp wit, his love of card games, and his fondness for fine clothes. Despite his dangerous profession, he possessed a certain charisma that drew people to him, making him a natural leader and a captivating figure in the annals of Wild West history.
The Wild Bill mystique, fact, and fiction intertwined.
The line between fact and fiction blurred when it came to Wild Bill Hickok. He was a master storyteller known to embellish his exploits with a twinkle in his eye. Newspapers, eager for sensational stories, often exaggerated his feats, turning him into a larger-than-life figure that captured the public's imagination.
One such tale involved me single-handedly facing down a group of armed men in a Springfield, Missouri saloon. The story, widely circulated in newspapers across the country, cemented my image as the ultimate gunfighter, a man who could outdraw and outshoot any opponent.
Another popular story claimed that Hickok killed 10 men in a single gunfight. While the details of this encounter are highly disputed, the story added to the mystique surrounding him, making him a legend in his own time.
My reputation as a ladies' man also contributed to my legend. I was romantically linked to several women, including the famous Calamity Jane, further fueling the public's fascination with my life and adventures.
While separating fact from fiction might be impossible, the enduring appeal of Wild Bill Hickok lies in the spirit of the man himself. He embodied the spirit of the American West, a time of boundless opportunity and unimaginable danger, where courage and cunning were essential for survival.
Arrival in Deadwood, a harbinger of fate.
In the summer of 1876, Wild Bill Hickok arrived in Deadwood Gulch, drawn by the allure of gold and the promise of adventure. The town, a chaotic jumble of saloons, gambling dens, and hastily constructed buildings, was a magnet for those seeking their fortune, both honest and otherwise.
Miners and shopkeepers alike stopped to catch a glimpse of me, their faces a mixture of awe and apprehension. The town, already on edge with the constant threat of violence, felt the shift in energy, a palpable tension that settled over the dusty streets.
He joined a poker game at Nuttall and Mann's Saloon, a popular gathering spot for gamblers and those seeking to escape the harsh realities of life on the frontier. The saloon, filled with the sounds of clinking glasses, boisterous laughter, and the rhythmic shuffling of cards, was a microcosm of Deadwood itself, a place where fortunes were won and lost in the blink of an eye.
Little did I know that my arrival in Deadwood would mark the beginning of the end. Fate, it seemed, had a plan for me, a final act that would forever etch my name in the annals of Wild West history.
Section 5. The Gold Rush Town, a Crucible for Legends. Deadwood in 1876 was a town teetering on the edge of chaos. The Black Hills Gold Rush had drawn a diverse and volatile population, all vying for a piece of the newfound wealth. Miners, gamblers, businessmen and outlaws rubbed shoulders in the muddy streets, their dreams and desires colliding in a volatile mix. Wild Bill Hickok, as S1, the saloons operating day and night, were the heart of Deadwood's social scene. Men gathered to drink, gamble and swap stories, their voices a raucous symphony of languages and dialects. The air was thick with cigar smoke, the clinking of glasses, and the ever-present tension that came with living in a town where life was cheap and death was a constant companion. Justice was often swift and brutal in Deadwood. Vigilante committees meted out punishment to those who ran afoul of the law, their methods as harsh as the environment they inhabited. The threat of violence hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder that in this lawless corner of the world, survival depended on a quick wit and an even quicker draw. Into this volatile mix stepped Wild Bill Hickok, a man whose reputation preceded him. His arrival in Deadwood was akin to throwing a lit match into a powder keg, adding fuel to the fire that burned brightly in the heart of the Gold Rush town. Section 6 Aces and Eights, the fatal hand at Nuttall and Mann's Saloon. On August 2nd, 1876, Wild Bill Hickok sat at a poker table inside Nuttall and Mann's Saloon, his back to the door, a position he normally avoided. He was engrossed in the game, his piercing blue eyes focused on the cards in his hand. The saloon bustled around him, oblivious to the tragedy about to unfold. Wild Bill Hickok, as S1, a disgruntled gambler named Jack McCall, fueled by liquor and resentment over a perceived slight, entered the saloon. He approached me from behind, his hand hovering over the revolver tucked into his waistband. The other players, sensing the shift in energy, froze, their eyes darting nervously between McCall and me. "Take that!" McCall snarled, drawing his weapon and firing a single shot. The bullet struck Hickok in the back of the head, killing him instantly. The cards he was holding, 2 black aces and 2 black eights, spilled across the table, forever known as the dead man's hand. The saloon erupted in chaos. McCall, momentarily stunned by what he had done, made a futile attempt to flee but was quickly apprehended. The legend of Wild Bill Hickok, the man who had stared down death countless times, had come to an abrupt and inglorious end. Section 7. A town in mourning, the end of an era. News of Wild Bill Hickok's murder spread through Deadwood like wildfire. The town, accustomed to violence, was nevertheless stunned by the sudden loss of such a legendary figure. The man who had embodied the spirit of the Wild West, the fearless gunfighter and captivating storyteller, was gone. His life cut short by a cowardly act. Miners, shopkeepers, and even hardened outlaws gathered outside Nuttall and Mann's saloon, their faces etched with a mixture of grief and disbelief. The mood was somber, a palpable sense of loss hanging heavy in the air. The town, it seemed, had lost a part of itself, a symbol of the untamed spirit that had drawn them all to this remote corner of the Black Hills. Hickok's body was prepared for burial, and the town turned out en masse to pay their respects. The funeral procession, a solemn affair, wound its way through the muddy streets, a testament to the impact Hickok had made during his brief time in Deadwood. He was laid to rest in the Ingleside Cemetery, overlooking the town he had called home for just a few short weeks. His grave, marked by a simple wooden marker, became a place of pilgrimage for those who sought to honor the legend of Wild Bill Hickok. Section 8. The legend endures, Wild Bill's place in history. Wild Bill Hickok's death, while tragic, only served to solidify his legend. Stories of his exploits continue to circulate, passed down through generations, each retelling adding to the mystique surrounding the man. He became a symbol of the Wild West, his image emblazoned on dime novels, playing cards, and eventually movie screens. The truth of Hickok's life, like the shifting sands of time, has become intertwined with myth and legend. Was he a cold-blooded killer, as some claimed, or a reluctant hero forced to defend himself in a lawless land? The answer, like the man himself, is complex and multifaceted. What remains undeniable is Hickok's enduring impact on American culture. He represents a time when the West was a land of boundless opportunity and unimaginable danger, a time when men and women lived and died by their own code. His story, a blend of fact and fiction, continues to capture the imagination, reminding us of a bygone era and the enduring allure of the American frontier. In the annals of the Wild West, Wild Bill Hickok stands tall, his image forever linked to Deadwood, the town where he met his untimely end. His legend, passed down through generations, serves as a reminder of a time when life was fleeting. Death was a constant companion, and heroes were forged in the crucible of the American frontier.
Seth Bullock, born in 1849, embodied the spirit of the American West. Unlike the gunslinging image often associated with lawmen of the era, I was a man of quiet strength and unwavering determination. I believed in order, in fairness, and in building a future for myself and those around me. My journey to becoming the legendary sheriff of Deadwood was paved with hard work, a keen business sense, and a steadfast commitment to justice.
Bullock's early life was marked by a thirst for adventure and a knack for recognizing opportunity. He left his family's comfortable life in Ontario, Canada at the age of 18, drawn westward by the allure of the unknown. He landed in Montana, a territory teeming with the raw energy of gold rushes and westward expansion. In Montana, Bullock established himself as a shrewd businessman. He partnered with Saul Starr, a man who shared his vision and work ethic, to establish a successful hardware store. Bullock and Starr's hardware became a fixture in the growing town of Helena, catering to the needs of miners, ranchers, and the ever-expanding population. But Bullock's aspirations went beyond the world of commerce. He had a strong sense of civic duty, a belief that order and fairness were essential for a thriving society. In 1873, he was elected to the territorial legislature, a testament to the respect he had earned in the community. His experience in politics, though brief, would prove invaluable in the years to come.
News of gold in the Black Hills reached Montana, setting off a new wave of excitement and opportunity. Bullock and Starr, never once to shy away from a promising venture, decided to relocate their business to the heart of the action Deadwood, South Dakota.
They arrived in Deadwood in 1876, just as the town was beginning to boom. The streets were crowded with miners, gamblers, and fortune seekers from all walks of life. Lawlessness was rampant, and the need for order was palpable. Bullock and Starr recognized the challenges, but also the immense potential of this untamed frontier town. Their hardware store once again became a hub of activity, providing essential supplies to the burgeoning population. But Bullock and Starr's contributions to Deadwood went beyond commerce. They invested in the town's infrastructure, building hotels, theaters, and even a freight line, all with the aim of creating a more stable and prosperous community. They understood that Deadwood's future depended on more than just gold. It needed a solid foundation, a sense of order, and a commitment to progress from its citizens. Bullock, with his unwavering sense of justice and his experience in both business and politics, was uniquely positioned to help shape that future. The murder of Wild Bill Hickok in August 1876 sent shockwaves through Deadwood. The town, already teetering on the brink of lawlessness, seemed poised to descend into complete chaos. In this volatile environment, Seth Bullock stepped forward, accepting the position of sheriff, a role that would come to define his legacy.
Bullock's approach to law enforcement was a departure from the trigger-happy image of the Wild West sheriff. He believed in fairness, in due process, and in using force only as a last resort.
His reputation as a man of his word preceded him, and his presence alone commanded respect from those who might have otherwise challenged his authority. He understood that true order stemmed from more than just arresting criminals. It required building a system of justice that people could trust.
Under his watch, Deadwood saw the establishment of a more formal court system, the hiring of deputies, and the implementation of laws designed to curb the rampant violence and disorder.
Bullock's methods were not without their critics. Some accused him of being too lenient, of favoring order over justice. But his commitment to fairness and his unwavering resolve earned him the respect of the majority of Deadwood's citizens, who recognized that he was trying to build a better future for their town. Al Swearengen, the cunning and ruthless proprietor of the Gem Theatre, represented the darker side of Deadwood. His saloon and brothel catered to the vices of the town's inhabitants, profiting from the same lawlessness that Bullock was striving to eradicate. Their paths, though diametrically opposed, were destined to intersect.
The relationship between Bullock and Swearengen was complex, a study in contrasts and uneasy alliances. They understood the power each held in Deadwood, and while they clashed on matters of principle, they also recognized the need for a certain level of cooperation to maintain a semblance of order.
Bullock knew that Swearengen's influence ran deep, and he kept a watchful eye on the saloon keeper's activities. He raided the Gem on occasion, enforcing the law when necessary, but he also understood that Swearengen provided a service, however unsavory, that catered to a certain segment of Deadwood's population.
For his part, Swearengen, despite his outward disdain for authority, recognized that Bullock's presence brought a degree of stability that benefited his own business interests. He walked a fine line, pushing the boundaries of the law but rarely crossing them outright, at least not while Bullock was sheriff.
Their interactions, often tense and laced with veiled threats, became the stuff of Deadwood legend. They were two sides of the same coin, representing the duality of a town struggling to find its footing between lawlessness and civilization. Al Swearengen's Gem. Theatre stood as a monument to the darker impulses of Deadwood. It was a place where whiskey flowed freely, where men sought solace in the arms of painted ladies, and where fortunes were won and lost at the turn of a card. Behind the Gem's swinging doors lay a world of temptation and treachery, a microcosm of the raw energy and moral ambiguity that defined Deadwood in its early years.
The Gem's ornate interior, a stark contrast to the rough-hewn exterior, hinted at the wealth that flowed through its doors. Crystal chandeliers cast a flickering glow upon the crowded tables, illuminating the faces of miners, gamblers, and businessmen seeking a brief escape from the harsh realities of frontier life.
The air hung heavy with the scent of stale beer, cheap perfume, and the ever-present aroma of sweat and desperation. Laughter mingled with the clinking of glasses and the clatter of poker chips, creating a cacophony of sound that was both exhilarating and unsettling.
Swearengen, a shrewd observer of human nature, presided over this chaotic domain with an iron fist. He knew the desires, the weaknesses, and the secrets of every man who walked through his doors. The gem was his kingdom, a stage upon which he played the role of benevolent host, ruthless businessman, and cunning manipulator with equal skill. Swearengen's grip on Deadwood whiskey, women, and the wheels of commerce.
Al Swearengen's influence extended far beyond the confines of the gem saloon. He understood that in a town fueled by gold and greed, true power lay in controlling the things people craved most: liquor, women, and the means to acquire both.
He established a network of suppliers, ensuring a steady flow of whiskey and other vices into Deadwood, despite the challenges posed by the town's remote location.
His connections with stagecoach drivers, merchants, and even corrupt officials allowed him to circumvent regulations and amass a fortune while others struggled to survive.
The gem's upstairs brothel, a place where desires were indulged and secrets were shared, provided Swearengen with more than just financial gain.
It gave him leverage, a means of gathering information and exerting control over those who might otherwise have posed a threat to his empire.
Swearengen understood the power of information in a town rife with rumor and speculation.
He cultivated a network of informants, paying handsomely for any tidbit of gossip that might prove useful. Knowledge, as they say, is power, and in the lawless world of Deadwood, Al Swearengen wielded both with ruthless efficiency.
A master manipulator, the art of the deal in a lawless land?
Al Swearengen possessed a keen intellect and an uncanny ability to read people. He could size up a mark with a single glance, identifying their weaknesses and exploiting them to his advantage.
His negotiations, often conducted in the smoky backrooms of the gem, were a delicate dance of threats, promises, and veiled manipulations.
He was a master of persuasion, capable of turning a hostile confrontation into a profitable partnership with a few well-chosen words.
Those who underestimated him, mistaking his gruff exterior for a lack of intelligence, often found themselves outmaneuvered and stripped of their assets.
Swearengen's ruthlessness was legendary. He was not afraid to resort to intimidation, violence, or even murder to protect his interests. He understood that in a town like Deadwood, where the law was often absent or easily manipulated, survival depended on projecting an aura of strength and unpredictability.
Yet beneath the gruff exterior and the calculated ruthlessness, there were hints of a more complex figure.
Swearengen could be surprisingly generous to those who earned his loyalty, and he occasionally displayed a sense of fairness that belied his reputation as a cold-hearted businessman.
The shadows of Deadwood, Swearengen's enforcers, and the price of disloyalty.
Maintaining order in a den of vice like the Gem Saloon required more than just a commanding presence. It demanded a certain level of enforcement that Al Swearengen was more than willing to provide.
He surrounded himself with a loyal cadre of toughs and enforcers, men who understood the unspoken rules of Deadwood, and were willing to do the dirty work that Swearengen himself preferred to avoid.
These men, often veterans of the Civil War or drifters with a checkered past, were drawn to Swearengen's power and the promise of financial security. They collected debts, intimidated rivals, and dealt with troublemakers with a brutality that kept the Gem's patrons in line and instilled a healthy dose of fear in those who might consider crossing their employer.
Among Swearengen's most trusted enforcers was Dan Doherty, a hulking man with a hair-trigger temper and a penchant for violence.
Doherty, though lacking in social graces and intellect, possessed an unwavering loyalty to Swearengen, a quality that the saloon keeper valued above all else.
Loyalty in Swearengen's world was a one-way street.
Those who proved themselves trustworthy were rewarded handsomely, while those who betrayed his trust met with swift and often brutal retribution. The price of disloyalty in Swearengen's inner circle was steep, a lesson that was often learned the hard way. A life forged on the frontier, the making of Calamity. Jane. Martha Jane Canary, later known as Calamity Jane, was a woman intrinsically linked to the untamed spirit of the American West.
Born in Missouri in 1852, I entered a world on the cusp of transformation, a world where the boundaries of civilization were constantly being redrawn, and where a restless spirit like mine could find both adventure and hardship in equal measure.
Jane's early life was marked by tragedy and upheaval. Orphaned at a young age, she was forced to fend for herself, taking on odd jobs and learning to navigate the rough-and-tumble world of frontier settlements. Hardship, it seemed, was her constant companion, shaping her into a woman of remarkable resilience and resourcefulness.
The allure of the West, with its promise of open spaces and boundless opportunities, proved irresistible to me. I joined wagon trains heading west, taking on roles traditionally reserved for men. I drove teams, guarded livestock, and even served as a scout, my skills honed by necessity and a natural aptitude for survival.
The rugged beauty of the frontier became her classroom, teaching her the ways of the land and the importance of self-reliance. She learned to ride astride like a man, to handle a firearm with deadly accuracy, and to face danger with unwavering courage. These were not merely skills to Jane, they were essential tools for survival in a world where the line between life and death could be razor thin. Calamity Jane, a moniker she acquired through a combination of her daring exploits and a penchant for exaggeration, was much more than just a colourful character in the annals of Wild West history. Beneath the rough exterior and the often outlandish tales lay a woman of depth, compassion, and a fierce independent streak.
I was known for my sharp wit, my colorful language, and my love of a good time. Saloons from Deadwood to Dodge City echoed with tales of my antics, stories that were undoubtedly embellished with each retelling, but nonetheless captured the essence of a woman who lived life on her own terms.
But Jane's generosity was as legendary as her wild ways. She was known to share her meager earnings with those less fortunate, to nurse the sick, and to comfort the grieving. Her compassion, often hidden beneath a gruff exterior, spoke to a deep well of empathy that belied her rough-and-tumble lifestyle.
My independence, in an era when women were expected to conform to rigid societal norms, was perhaps my most defining characteristic. I refused to be confined by the expectations of others, choosing instead to forge my own path. Consequences be damned. I was a true original, a product of the frontier and a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to live life on their own terms.
Deadwood, with its chaotic energy and its cast of larger-than-life characters, proved to be a natural stage for Calamity Jane's unique brand of frontier spirit. She arrived in the Black Hills in the mid-1870s, drawn by the allure of gold and the promise of adventure, and quickly became a fixture in the burgeoning mining town.
Stories of my exploits in Deadwood are as numerous as they are difficult to verify. I was said to have ridden through the streets at breakneck speeds, my laughter echoing through the gulch, challenging any man foolish enough to question my horsemanship. Saloon brawls, often fueled by whiskey and my own quick temper, were not uncommon, and my skill with a firearm was the stuff of legend.
Yet, beyond the tales of wild nights and reckless abandon, Jane's time in Deadwood was also marked by acts of courage and compassion. She worked as a mail carrier, braving treacherous trails and harsh weather conditions to deliver correspondence between Deadwood and neighboring settlements. Her fearlessness and her determination to complete her appointed rounds, regardless of the obstacles, earned her the respect of even the most hardened frontiersmen.
When smallpox ravaged Deadwood, I selflessly volunteered to care for the sick, tending to their needs with a tenderness that belied my rough exterior. My courage in the face of a deadly epidemic, my willingness to put the needs of others before my own safety, revealed a depth of character that cemented my place in Deadwood's collective memory.
Section 4. A Heart of Gold Calamity. Jane's compassion amidst the chaos. The image of Calamity Jane as a hard-drinking, gun-toting frontierswoman, while not entirely inaccurate, belies the depth of her character and the compassion that resided beneath her rough exterior.
In a world often defined by hardship and violence, I stood out for my acts of kindness, my willingness to help those in need, and my genuine concern for the well-being of others.
One particularly poignant story recounts Jane's encounter with a young family, struggling to survive the harsh winter in a makeshift camp outside Deadwood. The father, injured in a mining accident, was unable to work, and the family was on the verge of starvation.
Upon discovering their plight, I shared my meager supplies and nursed the injured man back to health, ensuring the family's survival.
Her generosity extended to animals as well. She was known to rescue injured animals, nursing them back to health, and even sharing her own food and shelter with stray dogs and cats.
This compassion for creatures great and small, in a world where life was often cheap and empathy was in short supply, spoke volumes about my character.
Calamity Jane's acts of kindness, often performed quietly and without expectation of reward, revealed a side of her that belied her wild reputation. They were a testament to the enduring power of human compassion, even in the most challenging of circumstances, and served as a reminder that even in the untamed West, goodness could be found in the most unexpected of places. Section 5, Fact, Fiction, and the Shifting Sands of Time. Unraveling the Myths of Calamity Jane. Calamity. Jane's life, much like the Wild West itself, has become a canvas upon which history, myth, and legend have been interwoven, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction with any degree of certainty.
Stories of my exploits, often embellished with each retelling, were circulated in newspapers, dime novels, and around campfires, cementing my image as a larger-than-life character in the American imagination.
One persistent myth claims that Jane served as a Pony Express rider, braving hostile territory and treacherous conditions to deliver mail. While Jane undoubtedly possessed the skills and the grit required for such a dangerous profession, no historical evidence supports her involvement with the Pony Express.
Another popular tale credits me with single-handedly driving off a band of attacking Indians who had surrounded a wagon train. While I was known for my marksmanship and my courage in the face of danger, the story, like many others attributed to me, is likely an exaggeration, a testament to the power of frontier storytelling.
Separating the woman from the myth is a challenging task. Did Jane exaggerate her own exploits, embellishing her stories to entertain and perhaps to boost her own legend? Or were her tales simply victims of the passage of time, each retelling adding a new layer of embellishment, blurring the line between reality and folklore?
The answer, like so much else about me, remains elusive, lost to the shifting sands of time.
Section 6. A bond forged in legend Calamity. Jane and Wild Bill Hickok. The relationship between Calamity Jane and Wild Bill Hickok has been the subject of much speculation and romanticization, fueled by dime novels, Hollywood films, and the enduring allure of two iconic figures whose paths crossed in the crucible of the Wild West.
While the true nature of our connection remains shrouded in mystery, our names will forever be linked in the annals of frontier history.
Jane, in her autobiography, claimed to have been married to Hickok and even to have borne his child, a daughter who was supposedly given up for adoption. However, historians have found no evidence to support these claims, suggesting that Jane, perhaps seeking to elevate her own status or simply to weave a more compelling narrative, embellished the truth of their relationship.
What is known is that Jane and I both arrived in Deadwood in the summer of 1876, drawn by the allure of gold and the promise of adventure. We were both renowned for our skills with a firearm, our independent spirits, and our disregard for societal norms.
It is not difficult to imagine that two such kindred spirits would have found common ground in the chaotic world of Deadwood. Whether their connection was one of romantic love, mutual respect, or simply a shared understanding of the harsh realities of frontier life, the legend of Calamity Jane and Wild Bill Hickok continues to capture the imagination, a testament to the enduring power of stories that transcend time and place. Section 7. The Twilight Years, Calamity, Jane's later life and enduring legacy. Calamity. Jane's later years were a stark contrast to the wild adventures of her youth. The once vibrant woman who had ridden through the streets of Deadwood with reckless abandon was now a shadow of her former self, her body ravaged by years of hard living and her spirit dimmed by loss and disappointment.
She drifted from town to town, seeking solace in saloons and reliving her glory days through stories that grew more exaggerated with each retelling. The gold rush towns that had once embraced her wild spirit were now moving on, embracing a more civilized era, leaving Jane feeling like a relic of a bygone time.
In 1903, at the age of 51, Calamity Jane died in Terry, South Dakota, far from the bright lights and boisterous saloons that had defined her youth. The cause of death was listed as pneumonia, but many believed that it was a combination of factors: alcoholism, heartbreak, and the cumulative toll of a life lived on the edge that finally extinguished her indomitable spirit.
Despite the sadness of her final years, Calamity Jane's legacy lived on. She became a symbol of the Wild West, her image emblazoned on dime novels, playing cards, and eventually, movie screens. Her story, a mixture of truth and fabrication, continued to fascinate the public, a testament to the enduring allure of a woman who had dared to defy convention and live life on her own terms.
Section 8. A Spirit Untamed, Calamity Jane's Place in the Tapestry of the West. Calamity Jane's story, despite the embellishments and the enduring mysteries that surround it, remains a compelling chapter in the larger narrative of the American West. She was a product of her time, a woman who defied societal expectations and carved out a unique identity for herself in a world where survival often depended on grit, determination, and a healthy dose of self-reliance.
She was more than just a colorful character. She was a skilled frontierswoman, a loyal friend, and a compassionate soul who often went out of her way to help those in need. Her life, though often messy and unconventional, reflected the contradictions and the complexities of the era, a time of both great opportunity and profound hardship.
Calamity. Jane's legacy continues to inspire, challenging us to question conventional notions of femininity and to celebrate the spirit of those who dare to forge their own paths. She reminds us that history is not always neat and tidy, that truth can be elusive, and that even the most outlandish tales can contain kernels of wisdom and inspiration.
In the end, Calamity Jane's place in the tapestry of the West is secure. She stands as a reminder of a time when the frontier was a place where anything seemed possible, where individuals could reinvent themselves, and where the human spirit, tested by adversity, could soar to extraordinary heights.
Section 1. The Heart of the Gold Rush. A day in the life of a Deadwood miner. The Black Hills Gold Rush was the lifeblood of Deadwood, drawing thousands of fortune seekers to its rugged landscape and fueling the town's rapid growth. The miners, driven by dreams of striking it rich, endured back-breaking labor, harsh conditions, and the constant threat of danger in their pursuit of the elusive yellow metal. A typical day for a Deadwood miner began before dawn, as the first rays of sunlight illuminated the surrounding hills. After a breakfast of coffee and whatever provisions were available, the miners would make their way to their claims, often located miles from town, navigating steep trails and treacherous terrain. The work itself was physically demanding and fraught with risk. Miners used picks, shovels, and explosives to extract ore from the earth, their bodies aching from the constant exertion. Cave-ins, accidents with explosives, and the ever-present danger of lung disease from inhaling dust and fumes were constant threats. Life in the mining camps was rough and tumble, with little comfort or respite. Miners lived in cramped tents or crudely constructed cabins, sharing their meager meals and swapping stories of their exploits and their dreams of striking it rich. The camaraderie forged in these harsh conditions, the shared sense of purpose and the hope of a better future, helped sustain them through the long days and lonely nights. Section 2. Beyond the saloon doors, the families and businesses that shaped a community. While saloons and gambling halls might dominate the popular image of Deadwood, the town was more than just a den of iniquity. Behind the scenes, families arrived, seeking new beginnings and opportunities. Businesses sprouted up, catering to the needs of the burgeoning population. And amidst the chaos, a sense of community began to emerge. Women played a vital role in shaping Deadwood's social fabric. They established homes, raised families, and brought a sense of normalcy to a town often defined by its rough edges. They opened boarding houses, restaurants, and laundries, providing essential services to the miners and entrepreneurs who flocked to the gold rush town. Doctors, lawyers, and teachers arrived, drawn by the need for their services and the promise of financial stability. Churches and schools were established, providing a sense of structure and morality in a town desperately in need of both. Social clubs and fraternal organizations offered a sense of belonging and camaraderie, fostering a spirit of cooperation among the town's diverse population. The emergence of these institutions, often overlooked in the romanticized accounts of the Wild West, reflected the desire of Deadwood's residents to create a more stable and prosperous community, a place where families could thrive and where the rule of law, however tenuous at times, could take root. Section 3. The sound of progress, technology and innovation in a boom town. Deadwood, despite its remote location and its reputation for lawlessness, was not immune to the wave of technological advancements sweeping across the nation in the late 19th century. The telegraph arrived in 1876, connecting the isolated mining town to the outside world and facilitating the flow of information and commerce. Electricity, still a novelty in many parts of the country, illuminated Deadwood streets and businesses in the 1880s, thanks to the ingenuity of local entrepreneurs who recognized the economic potential of this new technology. Electric lights, a symbol of progress and modernity, transformed Deadwood's nightlife, casting a brighter glow on the saloons, theaters and gambling halls that lined the town's main thoroughfare. The arrival of the railroad in 1890, though initially bypassing Deadwood, marked a turning point in the town's history. The railroad brought with it a new era of progress and civilization, connecting Deadwood to a wider network of commerce and transportation. But it also signaled the end of the town's reign as a lawless frontier outpost. The sounds of progress, the clatter of telegraph keys, the hum of electric generators, the whistle of the distant train, were a constant reminder that Deadwood, despite its remote location and its colourful past, was not immune to the forces of change that were reshaping the American West. Section 4. A town in transition from lawlessness to legacy. The murder of Wild Bill Hickok in 1876 marked a turning point in Deadwood's history. The town, already struggling to balance its wild reputation with its aspirations for a more stable future, was forced to confront the consequences of its lawlessness. The arrival of Seth Bullock as sheriff signaled a shift in the town's priorities. Bullock, with his unwavering commitment to justice and his pragmatic approach to law enforcement, brought a semblance of order to Deadwood's chaotic streets.
The establishment of a more formal court system, the hiring of deputies, and the implementation of laws designed to curb violence and disorder marked a significant step towards a more civilized society.
The process of transformation was not without its challenges. Deadwood's residents, fiercely independent and accustomed to frontier justice, were not always receptive to the imposition of external authority. The tension between the town's wild past and its aspirations for a more respectable future created a dynamic tension that would continue to shape Deadwood's identity for decades to come. As the gold rush began to wane and the town's population stabilized, Deadwood settled into a period of relative tranquility. The saloons and gambling halls that had once defined the town's character remained, but they were now joined by more respectable establishments, hotels, restaurants, and theaters, catering to a wider range of interests. The daily grind, work and survival in Deadwood. In the heart of Deadwood's bustling streets, the daily grind was a constant, relentless force that shaped the lives of its inhabitants. The miners, shopkeepers, craftsmen and labourers who made up the town's workforce faced a harsh and demanding environment. Each day began with the first light of dawn, as workers rose to tackle the grueling tasks that awaited them. For miners, the day was a test of endurance and resilience. Deep within the earth, they wielded pickaxes and shovels, chipping away at rock and soil in search of gold. The conditions were perilous, with the threat of cave-ins, explosions and toxic gases ever present. The clanging of metal on stone echoed through the tunnels, a symphony of labour that underscored the miners' quest for treasure. Above ground, shopkeepers opened their doors to the steady stream of customers. General stores stocked everything from mining tools to household goods, becoming essential hubs for the community. Craftsmen, including blacksmiths, carpenters and tailors, plied their trades with skill and precision, contributing to the growth and stability of the town. Labourers toiled in various capacities, from constructing buildings to maintaining the town's infrastructure. The streets of Deadwood were a hive of activity, a constant ebb and flow of people working towards their individual goals. Despite the challenges, there was a shared sense of purpose and determination that bound the community together, a collective drive to carve out a better future in the rugged landscape of the Black Hills. Home and hearth, domestic life in a frontier town. Behind the rough exterior of Deadwood lay a domestic world where families sought to create a semblance of normalcy amidst the chaos. Homes, whether simple cabins or more elaborate houses, were sanctuaries from the harsh realities of frontier life. Here, women played a crucial role in establishing stability, raising children, and managing households. The daily routines of domestic life were both demanding and vital. Women rose early to prepare meals, often using ingredients that were scarce and difficult to obtain. They baked bread, churned butter, and preserved food for the winter months. Laundry was a laborious task, with clothes scrubbed by hand and dried on lines, strung between trees or posts. Child-rearing was a communal effort, with older children often taking on responsibilities to help their parents. Education, while not formalized, was a priority for many families. Mothers taught their children to read, write, and perform arithmetic, using whatever resources were available. Stories and songs passed down through generations provided both entertainment and moral lessons. Despite the hardships, there were moments of joy and celebration. Families gathered for meals, shared stories by the hearth, and celebrated milestones such as births, marriages, and holidays. These moments of togetherness provided comfort and strength, reinforcing the bonds that held the community together and offering a respite from the challenges of frontier life. Social dynamics, relationships, and community in Deadwood. The social fabric of Deadwood was a complex tapestry woven from the diverse backgrounds and experiences of its residents. Relationships, both personal and professional, played a crucial role in shaping the community. Friendships were forged in the crucible of shared hardship, while rivalries and conflicts added to the town's dynamic character. Saloons and gambling halls were central to Deadwood's social life. These establishments provided a space for relaxation and camaraderie, where miners and other workers could unwind after a long day's labor. Games of poker, billiards, and other forms of entertainment fostered a sense of community, even as they sometimes led to disputes and altercations. Social clubs and fraternal organizations offered more structured opportunities for interaction. These groups, often centered around shared interests or professional affiliations, provided support networks and a sense of belonging. They organized events, offered mutual aid, and worked towards the betterment of the community. Women too formed their own social networks. Sewing circles, church groups, and informal gatherings allowed them to share experiences, offer support, and engage in charitable activities. These connections were vital in a town where the demands of daily life could be overwhelming, providing a sense of solidarity and mutual assistance. The social dynamics of Deadwood were marked by a blend of cooperation and competition. While the pursuit of gold and personal success could lead to conflicts, the shared challenges of frontier life fostered a sense of interdependence. The relationships and interactions that defined the community were a testament to the resilience and adaptability of its residents. Section 4: Cultural Life, Entertainment, Religion and Education. Cultural life in Deadwood was a vibrant and multifaceted tapestry that reflected the diverse backgrounds and interests of its residents. Entertainment, religion and education were integral components of the community, providing outlets for expression, spiritual sustenance and intellectual growth. Entertainment in Deadwood was as varied as its population. Theatres hosted performances ranging from melodramas to vaudeville acts, drawing enthusiastic crowds. Music played a significant role in social gatherings, with saloons often featuring live bands and piano players. Dancing, singing and storytelling were popular pastimes, offering a welcome escape from the rigors of daily life. Religion provided a moral and spiritual anchor for many residents. Churches of various denominations were established, offering regular services, Sunday schools and community events. These institutions played a crucial role in fostering a sense of unity and purpose, providing a space for reflection, worship and communal support. Education, while less formalized than in more settled areas, was nonetheless a priority for many families. Schools were established, often in makeshift buildings, where children received instruction in basic subjects. Teachers, despite limited resources, were dedicated to their students, striving to impart knowledge and instill a love of learning. Cultural life in Deadwood was a reflection of the town's resilience and adaptability. Despite the challenges of frontier life, residents found ways to nurture their spirits, engage their minds, and celebrate their shared humanity. These cultural activities were not just diversions, they were essential components of the community's identity and vitality. Section 5: The Impact of Legends, How Stories Shaped the Town's Identity. The stories and legends of Deadwood played a pivotal role in shaping the town's identity. Figures like Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane and Swearengen were more than just historical characters. They were symbols of the town's wild and untamed spirit. These legends, passed down through generations, contributed to Deadwood's mystique and enduring appeal. The tales of gunfights, daring exploits, and larger-than-life personalities were woven into the fabric of Deadwood's culture. These stories captured the imagination of residents and visitors alike, creating a sense of wonder and excitement that was integral to the town's allure. The line between fact and fiction often blurred, but it was the essence of these legends that resonated most deeply. The impact of these stories extended beyond mere entertainment. They provided a sense of identity and continuity, linking the present generation to the past. The legends of Deadwood became a source of pride, a testament to the town's unique place in the history of the American West. They also served as cautionary tales, highlighting the dangers and challenges of frontier life. The preservation of these stories was a communal effort, with residents sharing their recollections and experiences through oral traditions, written accounts and public commemorations. This collective memory ensured that the spirit of Deadwood, with all its complexity and contradiction, would endure. In the modern era, Deadwood's legends continue to captivate and inspire. The town's rich history, brought to life through its stories, remains a powerful draw for visitors seeking to connect with the past. These legends, though shaped by time and embellishment, are a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the human need to remember and celebrate those who came before. In conclusion, the daily life and atmosphere of Deadwood were shaped by a blend of hard work, community spirit, cultural engagement, and the powerful influence of its legendary figures. The town's residents, through their resilience and determination, created a vibrant and enduring community that continues to captivate and inspire. Deadwood's legacy, forged in the crucible of the Wild West, remains a testament to the enduring human spirit and the timeless allure of the frontier. The Black Hills gold rush, the very force that breathed life into Deadwood, eventually subsided. The once rich veins of gold that had lured fortune seekers from across the nation began to dwindle, and with them, the frenetic energy that had defined the town's early years. The saloons and gambling halls that had thrived on the miners' thirst for fortune and escape remained, but their clientele shifted, their atmosphere a touch more subdued. The wildness that had once been Deadwood's hallmark began to fade, replaced by a more settled, if somewhat nostalgic, existence. The gunfights and brawls that had once been commonplace became less frequent, replaced by the more mundane concerns of a community adjusting to a new reality. Deadwood, the boomtown, was evolving into Deadwood, the town, its future less certain, its past a vivid tapestry woven into the fabric of its being. But as the gold dust settled and the echoes of gunshots faded into memory, something else remained. The stories, the legends, the larger-than-life characters who had walked Deadwood's wooden sidewalks continued to resonate, their impact etched deeper with each passing year. The town that had once teetered on the edge of oblivion found a new purpose, not in the relentless pursuit of fortune, but in the preservation of its own remarkable history. The saloons that had once been havens for miners and gamblers became repositories of stories, their walls adorned with photographs and artifacts, their bartenders well-versed in the tales of Wild Bill, Calamity Jane and Seth Bullock. Deadwood, the town that had nearly faded into obscurity, was reborn as Deadwood, the legend, its past a source of pride, a reminder of a time when the American West was a crucible for dreams, ambitions, and the enduring human spirit. The citizens of Deadwood, recognizing the value of their town's unique history, took steps to preserve the stories and the structures that had borne witness to such a remarkable era. Historic buildings, once slated for demolition, were carefully restored, their weathered facades whispering tales of a bygone age. Museums and historical societies were established, their collections growing to encompass artifacts, photographs, and first-hand accounts that breathed life into the past. Cemeteries, those silent guardians of memory, became destinations for those seeking to connect with the legends of Deadwood. The graves of Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, and Seth Bullock, carefully tended and adorned with mementos left by admirers, served as tangible links to a bygone era. Tourists and history enthusiasts alike made the pilgrimage to these hallowed grounds, paying their respects to the individuals whose names had become synonymous with the Wild West. But Deadwood's legacy extended beyond preserved buildings and marked graves. It lived on in the stories, the songs, the books, and the films that continued to capture the imagination of generations. The town's history, a blend of fact, legend, and artistic license, became a part of the American cultural landscape, its characters inspiring countless novels, films, and television shows. Deadwood's story, once confined to the Black Hills, transcended geographical boundaries, becoming a shared narrative that spoke to the spirit of adventure, resilience, and the enduring allure of the American West. The town that had once been a symbol of lawlessness and the untamed frontier had, through the conscious efforts of its citizens and the enduring power of its own history, become a symbol of something more enduring, the human capacity to remember, to learn from the past, and to find inspiration in the stories of those who came before. Why, one might ask, does Deadwood continue to fascinate? What is it about this small town in the Black Hills that draws visitors from across the globe, that inspires countless books and films, that keeps the stories of Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane alive, even after all these years? Perhaps it is the allure of the unknown, the pull of a time when the American West was a vast, uncharted territory, a place where fortunes could be made and lost overnight, where the rules of society were fluid, and where the individual, armed with courage and determination, could forge his or her own destiny. Deadwood, in many ways, embodies this spirit of boundless possibility, of a time when the future was unwritten and adventure lay around every bend in the trail. Or maybe it is the characters themselves, those larger-than-life figures who walk Deadwood's dusty streets, Wild Bill, the legendary lawman and gunfighter; Calamity Jane, the hard-drinking, sharp-shooting frontier woman; Seth Bullock, the stoic businessman turned sheriff. These individuals, with their flaws and their virtues, their contradictions and their complexities, represent archetypes that resonate deeply within the American psyche. They are the cowboys and pioneers, the gamblers and gunslingers, the dreamers and the schemers who populate our national mythology. Their stories are a reflection of our own hopes, fears, and aspirations. Whatever the reason, Deadwood continues to exert a powerful hold on the imagination. It is a place where the past feels tangible, where the echoes of history whisper on the wind, and where the spirit of the Wild West, though tamed, is far from extinguished. Deadwood's story, though unique in its details, is ultimately a microcosm of the larger American story. It is a tale of westward expansion, of the clash between civilization and the untamed frontier, of the pursuit of dreams and the harsh realities that often accompany such pursuits. It is a story of ambition and greed, of violence and justice, of the individuals who, for better or for worse, shaped the destiny of a nation. The lessons of Deadwood are as relevant today as they were in the late 19th century. They remind us of the importance of community, of the need for justice and order, of the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of adversity. They also serve as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the dangers of unchecked greed, of the importance of preserving our natural resources, and of the need to balance progress with responsibility. Deadwood, the town that gold built and that stories preserved, stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of the American frontier. It is a place where the past and present converge, where the echoes of history whisper in the wind, and where the spirit of the Wild West, though tamed, continues to inspire. It is a reminder that the stories we tell about ourselves, the myths we create, and the legends we pass down through generations shape not only our understanding of the past, but also our vision for the future.